So, get things in place. Get ready for what's next to come. But we got a very, very busy day for you guys. We're going to get you guys ready for weekend action here across the sports world. We'll talk about Reds baseball as they get ready to take on the Pittsburgh Pirates in a 3-game series weekend. We'll talk about that. We'll get you a look at the National League Central, and we'll have some football conversations. But we want to get down into the conversation of this weekend in professional wrestling. WWE is back international wise. They are in London tonight for SmackDown. We'll talk about what's to come that later on in the program. But today, right now, we want to provide you our predictions for tomorrow's event, part of the Riyadh season out there. Here, and the WWE is holding Night of Champions tomorrow on the road to SummerSlam, and they got 6 matches on their docket. And I gotta tell you, it's a pretty big docket for both of them. So let's go ahead and give you our predictions on who we think is going to walk away victorious. Let's get you all the details of what you need to know coming up here in this weekend's event. So first things first, here is the match card. Is tomorrow. It'll be held begin at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2 p.m. or 10 a.m. Pacific Time. It's available on the ESPN app with a ESPN Unlimited plan in the United States, and available for international services on Netflix. There are a total of 6 matches, 3 of them which being for titles, 1 of them being inside a steel cage, and 2 of them completing the final round of the King and Queen of the Ring tournament. So, when I look at this match card, we're going to give you a quick briefing of what the match card looks like. Just know this is coming from WWE.com. This is subject to change, as nothing is final until we could get there. But here are the matches that we can anticipate to watch tomorrow afternoon. You have the United States Championship, Trick Williams taking on Ricky Saints. You have a Women's United States Championship, Tiffany Stratton taking on Jade Cargill. Seth Rollins takes on Braun Breaker in a steel cage. You have the King of the Ring tournament finals as Jey Uso takes on Obafemi. You have the Queen of the Ring finals as Io Sky takes on the women's world champion Liv Morgan. And you have the undisputed WWE Championship in a triple threat match as Cody Rhodes takes on Gunther and Sami Zayn. You know, I said this last month and the previous month, but I've noticed a trend this year in PLEs coming from the WWE. And to me, I don't know what it is, but they've been more intriguing in investment purposes in compared to years past. Normally, for me, when I think of this time of year, you get 1, 2, maybe 3 feuds if you're lucky that is interested to watch for the longevity. You tune in because it's going to lead to something bigger. And then there's other feuds in the mix that get thrown into a PLE that really don't have a rhyme or reason. It's not going to hold water. It doesn't show interest. It's just things that I personally gravitate to more so than others. When I look at Night of Champions, despite being in Riyadh, because we know what Riyadh has to hold and they kind of get what they want when they want it. This is a very stacked match card. Not only you see two matches where the winners will go punch their ticket to SummerSlam, you also see a steel cage match and 3 other title defenses. So the WWE, for my opinion, is pulling out all the big stops in this trip. And it seems like they've been doing this in a pattern over the last several months post WrestleMania. Keeps fans engaged. If I look back at it now, I've been invested to tune in to watch Backlash and Clash in Italy, all because of a couple of scenarios. You got Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu, that bloodline story that you wanted to see develop. You had Jade Cargill and Rhea Ripley in a rematch from WrestleMania. You also see Oba Femi out there, as well as Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker. And there's just a lot that can be said when it comes down to these previous PLEs that you didn't want to miss whatsoever. And so I've noticed it, and maybe it's something that's not new to you. Maybe, you're just all dialed in, and respectfully so if that's the case. But for me, I feel like this time of year, and then leading into fall before you get to Survivor Series, are difficult times to keep fans invested into the product. And I feel like the WWE this go around, at least in compared to recent years, have done a little bit more than what they need to do to keep the fans invested. So let's get down into the matches. We'll kick things off with the United States Championship match as Trick Williams looks to defend his title against Ricky Saints. Ricky Saints, let me just point this out. This is his first PLE since getting called up to the main roster. WWE PLEs are different territories than NXT PLEs. There's a lot on the line for Ricky Saints, regardless if he wins or not. This is this test for him, for the WWE to look at him and say, here's a PLE. We've had a lot of great talent over the last couple of months. Where do you fit among that mix? Could we see you as a potential champion, whether it's now or down the road? And this is all based off of how you perform in Riyadh. This isn't how you perform in the States, in the hometown. This is how you perform in Riyadh. I think that Ricky has a lot to prove, whether he wins or he loses. And at the end of the day, we're looking to gain something from this match. I also want to point out that Trick Williams, who has surpassed his potential and has had one of the best years out of all professional wrestlers on the WWE roster this year, becoming U.S. champion, competing at WrestleMania, overthrowing, Sami Zayn. These are all accolades that you look into a future star. And it looks like he's only beginning. It's not about getting there, which he's already done. It's about staying there. So Trick Williams has a lot to write on this. He needs to still prove to the WWE universe that he belongs as the United States champion. And if people want to see him down the road, let's say 3 to 5 years, as a WWE champion, a world heavyweight champion, then these are moments where he's going to also have to capitalize on. So the tail of the take is set between these two men. They have a lot to prove, and they have the chance to do it in front of a crowd with the United States Championship on the line. And let's just back up for a second and just realize where the United States Championship and the diversity of talent that has been associated with the United States Championship over the last few months has gone. I think that there's more of a cruiserweight aspect, more high flying, more throwing themselves around recently. And if you look at all the titles in the WWE, like you look for the Intercontinental Championship on Raw, there's more of a lucha sense, lucha wrestling, right? You know, you have the World Heavyweight Championship, who is the big dog, the heavyweights. And then you have the WWE champions, who are the other, I'm going to say the other associates that belong at the top of the card, but have a completely different direction. They're not as, the magnitude is not as great as the World Heavyweight Champion. And Ricky Saints and Trick Williams right there in the mix. Ricky Saints won the #1 contendership last week against Carmelo Hayes. And I'm anticipating a really good match. It's not going to steal the show, but it's going to set the tone for the show. And so I predict that Trick Williams will retain his United States Championship tomorrow at Night of Champions. I'm taking the veteran. He's already been in the spotlight. He's already won and defended his titles. Yes, he has to do it again, and that's where there is a risk factor in that. How do you handle under pressure? But I feel like there's a lot more pressure on Ricky Saints. And I feel like at the end of the day, that pressure gets to him. Tiffany Stratton will also defend her Women's United States Championship against Jade Cargill. And if you wonder or ask yourself, well, haven't I seen this before? It's because you have. Late last year, Tiffany Stratton was champion, and Jade Cargill steps in and takes that title from her. Jade Cargill will carry that title into WrestleMania, where she loses it to Rhea Ripley. And after losing in her rematch, she is now reciting her focus on Tiffany Stratton. Jade Cargill wants a championship. And to me, this scenario quickly seems that, hey, look, Jade Cargill's taking the easy way out. Instead of staying in the title picture, fighting for another match against Rhea Ripley, trying to get the ultimate gold on the women's division, you're going to settle for second best. And on top of that, you've already have the upper hand as you beaten Tiffany before, not too long ago. At least that is from the outside looking in, knowing what I do know. That's what I see. Now, we all know kind of a little bit more details about the women's champion. She's kind of dealing with an injury. Plus, you have the Queen of the Ring champion, which the winner will get a chance to choose their SummerSlam opponent in a title defense. And if Liv Morgan wins, we'll get to that here in a second. Obviously, she'll choose Rhea Ripley. But look at Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany Stratton is not the same person that beat Charlotte Flair for the Women's Championship last WrestleMania. And I think there is a debate, in all fairness, that Tiffany Stratton has kind of declined over this past year. So I think of this match and I think of Tiffany as a redemption opportunity. One, to be able to beat Jade Cargill like she hasn't been able to do, but regain her dominance, regain her stability among the women's division. And to keep in the back of my mind, you got B-Fab, you got Machine, you got Chelsea Green, all kind of lingering around, wanting their taste, whether it's B-Fab and Machine getting their coming to aiding Jade Cargill, or even Chelsea Green kind of low-key sabotaging Tiffany. That's what creates this element of a match a little bit more excitement out of it. I like this rematch. I kind of surpassed the initial match. What troubles me is I got a feeling that Jade Cargill will walk away victorious. But I'm going to go with Tiffany Stratton. And just hear me out for a second. Tiffany Stratton, I think, will win this match. B-Fab Machine will probably try to interfere, and then we will see Chelsea Green. Maybe she's trying to cost Tiffany the match, and she ends up costing Jade the match. I don't personally think that Jade Cargill needs a title at this moment. I think it will do better if Tiffany Stratton walks away victorious. And keep that title on her for whatever story to tell. So I am going to go on a limb and saying that Tiffany Stratton is going to retain her women's championship tomorrow at Night of Champions. Let's dive into the steel cage match. We see Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker. And if I get my numbers correctly, isn't this series tied at one apiece? Braun Breaker won at Backlash. Seth Rollins won the other week on Raw. And Seth Rollins obviously doesn't know when to quit. But now, what I like about this is that we've taken one singles competition, Seth Rollins won one, Braun Breaker won one, and now we have to meet each other again. But how can we take it to the next level? And you put them inside a steel cage. And I think it's warranted. I think it's valid. How often do you see a stipulation get added to a match in the WWE? And I think WWE does this intentionally so that when you bring out a stipulation like the steel cage, it brings a bigger emphasis to the match style. It brings an importance to the match overall. Now, I don't know what's happening with the Vision. They've been all over the place. They just lost the tag team titles. I don't know the direction that they're in. I don't know if Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker's feud ends this Saturday inside the steel cage, or they take it further. Obviously, what I do know is that we don't see right now any opportunity where Seth Rollins or Braun Breaker going after a championship. Now, to me, choosing a winner goes back to choosing a winner with Trick Williams in the United States Champion. The reason why I chose Trick Williams is because he is in the spotlight. He's a little bit more of a veteran. He's a little bit more well-polished, well-established over Ricky Sainz. Seth Rollins is a little bit more established when it comes down to steel cages. It's one of those stipulations where you just have to be in it in order to gain experience. It's not your typical match. There's nowhere to run. You look at Braun Breaker. Where is he going to find his speed to go build momentum to spear Seth Rollins? So Seth Rollins, if he uses the cage as his arsenal, a tool in his tool chest, you're cutting off the speed of Braun Breaker in this case. You're refining him. You're also putting a gap between the Vision and everyone else. So in order for, we know, I don't know where Bronson Reed is. We know Logan Paul is still out recovering from his injury, so he's just there for show. And so that leaves the Austin Theory. Well, we know Austin Theory is going to have to go through an obstacle to get inside the cage in order to stop and help Braun Breaker and stop Seth Rollins. So when I look at this, I want to instantly choose veteranship over experience. Seth Rollins has better experience in this situation, and I feel will have one up. So I will choose Seth Rollins over Braun Breaker in the steel cage match. We get to the Women's Queen of the Ring tournament final. Io Sky takes on the Women's World Champion Liv Morgan. And I feel, just the feeling I get with this is that this match goes, whoever wins is going to challenge Rhea Ripley. On one hand, you have best friends out of Io Sky and Rhea Ripley. They've used to compete against each other a year ago. Then forced to team up. So I wouldn't necessarily mind seeing that right now also. But one thing that we haven't seen in the WWE in quite some time that I would also be, hey, take me in that direction, I love to see where that goes, would be the Women's World Champion Liv Morgan having a chance to beat Rhea Ripley for the WWE Women's Champion. Think about this. Liv Morgan gains control over the Judgment Day and ends up winning both titles and ends up becoming superior. She definitely would have accomplished more than any other person in the among the faction of throughout his history if she's able to pull this off. I do know that there's some turmoil at the Judgment Day right now. Raquel Rodriguez, Roxanne Perez, and I've been calling for them to take some time to throw that in the mix and set the table for a possible SummerSlam match. And then it's still on the table, but do we see that unfold tomorrow at Night of Champions? I think Io Sky goes on and wins. I think she goes on and challenges Rhea Ripley, and we have this fan favorite match. It's not a dream match anymore, but it's a fan favorite match. In the King of the Ring tournament final, you see Jey Uso take on Oba Femi. And I know this has been the conversation piece of Night of Champions for quite some time over the last month. But how can you not see all the signs that lead to a Brock Lesnar Oba Femi Part 3? I think both of these men deserve to be in the title picture. They both definitely well deserve, especially after what we saw with Jey Uso and his match against Javon Evans last Friday night. But does the WWE have any tricks up their sleeve heading into Night of Champions that will change alternative direction on how their feuds lay afterwards. Instantly, I'm going to say Jey Uso wins. Hands down, no, Obafemi is the better person. He is the most dominant. He's the most physical. And I think Jey Uso is going to take, maybe take his eye off of him. But Obafemi, deep down in his mind, he has Brock Lesnar on his mind. At any time, any place, any moment, Obafemi, Brock Lesnar could show up and attack Obafemi. So the question here is two options. Obafemi beats Jey Uso, clean fight. He goes on and challenges Roman Reigns, and we see Roman Reigns and Obafemi at SummerSlam, where if you were to insert Brock Lesnar into the mix, you could possibly see a triple threat match. I know that's been rumored. Maybe you get into SummerSlam and Brock Lesnar costs Oba match, but how does that make sense? Let's not oppose right now Brock Lesnar's retirement. Maybe it is at Detroit. Maybe it's not. The point being is that, if and when Brock Lesnar has the last laugh at the moment, because he could show up anytime, any place, and cost Obafemi. Now, I believe it's going to happen tomorrow. But that's my belief. I believe that he's going to come out, he's going to attack and cost Obafemi the match. Jey Uso will win, which means this is where the alternative is, and this is what I like about the alternative. Jey Uso challenges Cody Rhodes first SummerSlam, and we see Jey Uso beat Cody Rhodes, because the bigger picture, which I think I'm also supportive on, is watching Jey Uso and Roman Reigns both carry champions. Their individual success has been mountains of a career. Jey Uso's most recent, title run, he wants to get back there in there. Plus, then Roman Reigns now has another issue on his belt. Now, after dealing with Jacob Fatu, Jey Uso is champion, and he is saying, hey, listen, I'm just as good as you are. I am also champion. Do not forget it. There's a lot to be said there. So directions is pivotal. And I think when you weigh in your options for a SummerSlam opponent and match, I look at option 2. Brock Lesnar, Obafemi, Part 3, Detroit, SummerSlam, maybe a retirement match, whatnot. I don't know. I don't care. And then Jey Uso goes on and faces Cody Rhodes, which fits the caliber of the PLE. And it would even be better to set the table moving forward following that if Jey Uso wins. So that's why I have Jey Uso becoming or winning the King of the Ring tournament. Last but not least, the triple threat match that has been whirlwind for the undisputed WWE Championship. Cody Rhodes, Gunther, and Sami Zayn. Now, Cody Rhodes and Gunther has already had a battle last month. Gunther lost, but had his foot underneath the rope, got his rematch, gave Sami Zayn the ability to be the referee, instantly regretted it, and now we see all three men involved into this match. Now, Sami Zayn, I think, is trying he's trying to. Sami Zayn is trying to wonder where he feels like there is entitlement for him. And he's tired of being overlooked, disrespected by anyone and everyone on this roster. Started off with Trick Williams. Now he's kind of low-key picking the bone with Cody Rhodes. And now gotten into this tangle. In a match that he really shouldn't be involved in, he's found his way to get into it. So is it really pettiness, or is it really just smart thinking? Strategy thinking? But now everyone has a 33% chance of winning. And Cody Rhodes doesn't need to be pinned or submitted in order to lose the title. So what I also see is no one's technically on favorable sides. Cody Rhodes needs to realize that he can't trust nobody in this match, not even Sami Zayn, not for a split second, because the moment you open that up to Sami, he will backstab him in the back. Nobody can trust anybody in this match. Sami Zayn is going to be manipulative in this. He's going to try to team up with Cody. He's going to try to team up with Gunther. He's going to take opportunities away so he could have these spotlight moments. But he's just a distraction in this match. I believe that Cody Rhodes walks away victorious. I think when you have such a split, I know the percentage and the chances of winning goes down, but in the hindsight, I know Cody Rhodes is going to be targeted. This is what paints him as the underdog, and one thing about the underdog, he always prevails. Maybe Sami Zayn comes into SmackDown tonight, says, hey, I'm the underdog, and that's not the case. So I predict Cody Rhodes winning, retaining his undisputed championship. If there was a title change on hand to tomorrow at Night of Champions, I would have to then change my opinion and predict Jade Cargill would become the new Women's United States Champion. But that's if there is a title change hands on that. Otherwise, that is my selection. I would love to hear what you guys have to think and say. Let me know down in the comments below, and we will return on Monday to let you know of the results of Night of Champions. Gotta say that episode went a lot longer than I expected. All right, so let's move over to baseball here. Phase 1 of the All-Star Game. Voting has been finalized. Here are the finalists as we inch closer to July 14th, where the All-Star Game will be held at Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia. Now, here's what we already know. The top votings automatically get in. Ernie Clement, who's the second baseman for the Blue Jays, received 3,232,932 votes in the American League. In the National League, the designated hitter Shohei Ohtani for the Dodgers received 3,341,257 votes. Hey, congratulations to those two. Not really a bit of a surprise either, but they definitely deserve. But what does the other All-Star Games now look like here? Well, to pass phase 1 out of the voting for the American League, let's start off with the American League. Okay. We see the catchers, Athletics Shea Langeliers, and the Blue Jays, Alejandro Kirk. At first base, Vladimir Guerrero with the Blue Jays and Ben Rice with the Yankees. With the Blue Jays, Kazuma Okamoto and the Rays, Junior Caminero. At shortstop with the Royals, Bobby Witt Jr. and Andreas Jimenez with the Blue Jays. And outfield, we'll see Aaron Judge with the Yankees, Mike Trout with the Angels, Byron Buxton with the Twins, Cody Bellinger with the Yankees, Dalton Varsho with the Blue Jays, Jesus Sanchez with the Blue Jays. Designated hitter is Yordan Alvarez with the Astros and Jorge Springer with the Blue Jays. Man, that's a lot of Blue Jays. It almost doesn't seem fair. What we do know is that the second baseman is already taken care of because the most votes in the American League went to Ernie Clement. So he's automatically getting that starting position. In the National League, we will see the catcher and the catchers. We have Braves Drake Baldwin and Dodgers Will Smith. First base, Dodgers Freddie Freeman and Braves Matt Olson. At second base, we have Ozzie Albies for the Braves and the Phillies Bryson Stott. At third base, Max Muncy for the Dodgers, Alex Bohm for the Phillies. At shortstop, C.J. Abrams for the Nationals and Mookie Betts for the Dodgers. In the outfield, Andy Pages for the Dodgers, Brandon Marsh for the Phillies, Ronald Acuna Jr. for the Braves, Teoscar Hernandez for the Dodgers, Juan Soto for the Mets, and Michael Harris from the Braves. Shohei Ohtani gets the automatic designated hitter position. So phase one is complete. We now have the finalists. Okay. Minus the second baseman for the American League and the designated hitter spot for the National League. And the top 6 outfielders will advance to phase two. Phase two winners will be announced on July 4th on Fox, along with pitchers and reserves. So we don't select pitchers and reserves. MLB does. But we in phase two, these are the players that were just mentioned, are players who will be available to vote for. And none of the votes carry over. So they get cut off with the clean slate in phase two, which starts Monday at noon. You can vote on MLB.com. We'll get you the information that you need on Monday. And then the top ones will get the designated spot. I don't think any of these are bad all-stars. They're all top-tier players, and I like every single one of them. I feel like the voting, I don't know, maybe the voting is unfair to me. Yes, I want to vote the best of the best players. I don't want to just vote for world-tier names. I remember growing up when, and I don't know, because I've never really been out there since then. I don't think they do it anymore. But remember when you went out to ball games? I went out to Petco Park a lot when I was growing up. And during their All-Star break, you got these pamphlets in every cup holder. And you could just punch in, right? Like little punch holes. Punch out the players that you want to select and turn them in. I thought that was the coolest thing. Obviously, technology has changed and we could do it online now, and that's where the preference is. But I feel like, man, the Dodgers, the Blue Jays, and the Braves are the only two teams, and let's go ahead and throw the Yankees in there, are the only teams that really have all their players that begin in their, that get nominated the most. And as much as I'm okay with that, and I get it, not all teams should have an all-star if they're not worthy enough, but I feel like, I don't know if there is, how the voting system, is just based off of us. Kind of sucks. So you're telling me that the Blue Jays, the Yankees, the Dodgers, and the Braves have enough fan base, which I wouldn't doubt that they don't, but they have enough fan base to have everyone vote up to 3 million times to nominate their person. If I did, let's say for the past 3 weeks, that's 21 days, that's 5 votes a day. Times that by what? Let's say open up on June 1st. So that's 25 days, 25 days. Time divides 25. I can vote for one player 125 times. Okay. Let's see if I can find this real quick. There's about 2.1. This is just an average. There's not an exact figure amount. Fan base, you can see dedicated to the Cincinnati Reds. All right, so let's do 221. So 2 million. Let's do 2.1. 2,100,000 times that by 125. That's 52 million. So if according to what I could find on Google here, if every Cincinnati Red player voted for Elly De La Cruz 5 times a day for the last 25 days, he would have received 52 million votes. So think about the 3 million plus votes for Shohei Ohtani divided by 5 times a day. Divide that by 25. Right? Am I doing my math correctly? 33000. Well, we're gonna divide it by 25 days, or divide it by 125, right? 26,400 people have, in a concept, have voted for Shohei Ohtani every day for the last 25 days. Just the general concept. So if we have 5 days, let's say we have 6 days here, right? So 6 times 5, because you can vote for that many. That's 30 votes I could give somebody. Okay. Let's say, if let's say all the Reds fans votes for Shohei Ohtani, and there's about 21 million, he could get about 63 million. That's crazy. It's flabbergasting. So who really partakes in this? Anyways, just to kind of take us off subject, but the votes are in. Final two, phase 2 will begin on Monday. All right, let's get you guys ready for the upcoming series. The Cincinnati Reds head out to Pittsburgh. It's going to be, there's a 7-game road trip ahead of us before 4th of July weekend, where we come home and host the Baltimore Orioles. Now, from my latest update, Hunter Green expected to return a week from today. If everything goes well, I think that would be great news and great confidence for the Reds. But in the meantime, we have to get over this 7-game hump. We've only won one game against the NL Central division rivalries, and that came to the Pirates. First game that we met them earlier this season, we won. We couldn't win since. Can we turn that around, as we only see the Pittsburgh Pirates 2 more times? Think about this. We only see them 1 more time at the end of the month. Okay, at the end of the July, and then that will be it for the rest of the season. So we really need to capitalize on this. Plus, it's a 3-game set. We're not going to be able to do anything to change the narrative of what the NL Central looks like after this series. But if you want to close that gap out into getting out of 5th place, getting back to 200, a series sweep over the Pirates could get us to 40-42. Okay? A series sweep over the Pirates could get us 1 game back of them in the division, right? So, this is very important. We have Ellie De La Cruz back. Emilio Pagan expected to come back here at some point within the next week or two. So, I mean, at the hindsight, from a distance, we look good, but up close, we don't. And I guess that's something that we're going to have to change the narrative of this back in. And you know what? The clock is ticking. The moves that we make, the progression and our progress and our success change the dynamic now, right here, right now, which is more important. So we won game 1, 2-0. We lost 8-3, 8-3 last city. We got clobbered last series in Pittsburgh. So we want to change that narrative. We only scored 8 runs as they scored 27 runs. This weekend, it's not going to get off to an easy start. Yeah, it was a travel day for us. Pittsburgh got off a series. We'll get to the NL Central lookout here in a moment. But the Reds will have to immediately take on Paul Skeens tonight, game 1. Then Jared Jones and Mitch Keller. So, but we have our top pitchers going out as well. Andrew Abbott, Chase Burns, and Brady Singer. If we could bring some of the bullpen success along with it, then that's just a bonus. Tonight's game, first pitch at 6:40, is available on Reds TV or WLW. The Reds are 37-42, 5th in the NL Central, while the Pirates are 41-40, 4th in the NL Central. The Reds will send out left-handed pitcher Andrew Abbott to the mound, who's 5-4 with a 3.83 ERA. He last pitched on Saturday in New York, where he went 5 innings, giving up 5 hits, 1 earned run, 3 walks, and 6 strikeouts. Goes up against right-handed pitcher Paul Skeens, who's 6-7 with a 2.86 ERA. He also last pitched on Saturday in Colorado against the Rockies, where he went 6 innings, giving up 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, and 8 strikeouts. On Saturday, first pitch scheduled for 4:05 p.m., available on Reds TV, or listen to it on WLW 700. Reds will send out right-handed pitcher Chase Burns, as the Pirates will also send out right-handed pitcher Jared Jones. In the 3-game finale, the Cincinnati Reds and the Pirates will do battle at 1:35 p.m. The Reds will send out right-handed pitcher Brady Singer, and he'll go up against right-handed pitcher Mitch Keller. You can watch the game on Reds.tv or listen to it on WLW 700. All the information provided is available through MLB.com and is subject to change. Take a look at what's going on down in the NL Central. Look at the Mariners lost to the Pirates yesterday, 5-1, the final score. The Cubs picked up a 4-3 victory over the Mets, sweeping them final in 10 innings. And Dansby Swanson, who recorded 11 RBIs in Wednesday's doubleheader, 15 RBIs in the series total, went 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts in yesterday's action. In the 10th inning, Pete Crow Armstrong hit a double in the top of the 10th, helping the Cubs sweep the Mets in the series. And then the D-backs and Cardinals game was postponed. It will be postponed for July 23rd due to weather implications. Coming up this weekend, the Cubs are over in Milwaukee to take on the Brewers. The Cubs are 44-37, while the Brewers are 49-29. On Friday, the first pitch is at 7:45. In Game 2 on Saturday, their first pitch is at 7:10. And on Sunday, their first pitch is scheduled for 2:10. The Cardinals will remain home as they host the Miami Marlins. The Marlins are 42-39 as the Cardinals are 42-36. Their first game starts tonight at 8:15, on Saturday at 7:15, and on Sunday, conclusion at 2:15. For more information, check out MajorLeagueBaseball.com. All right, what's going on in the FIFA World Cup weekend progress yesterday? Team USA didn't do quite so well. They still clinched, but they ended up losing to Turkey. Final total was 3-2. Take a look at the other scores that took place yesterday. Ivory Coast shut out Morocco 2-0. Ecuador beat Germany 2-1. Netherlands beat Tunisia 3-1. Japan and Sweden, along with Paraguay and Austria, tied at 0 tied in their final total. Japan and Sweden was 1-0, one piece. Paraguay and Austria is at 0-0. Man, the stage groups continue today on Fox and FS1. Three games on Fox, 3 games on FS1. Beginning at 3 o'clock on FS1, Senegal takes on Iraq. Then at 8 p.m., you'll see Cabo Verde take on Saudi Arabia. And then at 11 p.m., Egypt takes on Iran. The 3 o'clock game is at BMO Field, while 8 o'clock will take on NRG Stadium, and the 11 p.m. is at Lumen Field. Over on Fox at Gillette Stadium at 3 p.m., you can watch Norway take on France. You can watch at 8 p.m. on Fox at the Estadio Akron, Uruguay take on Spain. And then BC plays at 11 p.m. New Zealand takes on Belgium. All those games are on Fox. Information subject to change. On Saturday, 6 games will occur. Starting on Fox at 5 p.m., you'll see Croatia take on Ghana. And then at 7:30 p.m. on FS1 on Saturday, you'll see Dominican Congo take on Uzbekistan at Mercedes-Benz. And at 10 p.m., Algeria versus Austria at Arrowhead Stadium. Available on FS1. On Fox at 5 p.m., Panama takes on England. 7:30, Colombia takes on Portugal. And at 10 p.m., Jordan takes on Argentina. And then on Sunday, only one game scheduled at 3 p.m. at SoFi Stadium. You'll see South Africa take on Canada. For more information of your FIFA World Cup, check out CBSSports.com. All right, what's going on SmackDown tonight? The final stop before Night of Champions will take place at the O2 in London as they continue their international tour. Cody Rhodes is just a day away from defending his title against Gunther and Sami Zayn. Expected to be an appearance. Let's see what else. You can watch it on USA Network tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It'll be held at the United Kingdom. And tonight's show, you'll see WWE Champion Cody Rhodes expect to appear before defending his title on a Night of Champions. The WWE World Tag Team Champion Paige will take on JC Jane. And Jay Cargill will take on Chelsea Green. Julia will take on Kiana James. After their brawl, and AAA Cruiserweight Champion Ray Phoenix will take on Nathan Frazier. In single competition, information subject to change. For more information, check out Sports Illustrated or WWE.com. All right, I want to leave you off with this question for you to think about this weekend. And I want to go ahead and just take a look at it for the first time. My question for you, talking about football. How easy is the Cincinnati Bengals schedule? Now, we already know what the Bengals have done thus far in the offseason. And on paper, compared to what they had last year, you could say that the Bengals significantly improved to what they used to have. And on paper, it looks pretty good. It looks like they are contenders. They are division champions. They are right back in the AFC championship. And hell, they may even be right back in the Super Bowl mix. To me, and I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but to me, it's about, well, now you have to show me on the field. You haven't proved to me nothing yet until you could show me on the field. And by doing that, it starts September 13th when you take on the Buccaneers. Now, could some of their success, though, how good is their success based off of the team that they put together this offseason? And could any of that success resonate based off of how easy their schedule could be this season? NFL earlier this year released the 2026 schedule. It included the Buccaneers coming to Cincinnati and Paycor Stadium to open up the season, which will be great. It also included a couple of key marquee matchups on primetime television, including the end of the season where they take on the Ravens, which could be a defining factor of the 2026 season. And if the Bengals get into the postseason, well, they also are going out to Madrid. It's a road game. They're taking on the Falcons, so there's no harm, no foul. But based off their schedule, based off their bye and when opponents match up, are they opposed to have an easy schedule, an easy playoff ticket this year? Especially if they have so-called what we call a quote-unquote better team than last year. So let's say that their team is just that good. Everyone stays healthy. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins they're off to the chases here, and their defense is supporting them. So let's take a look at the Cincinnati Bengals schedule for the very first time. Now, this is going to be one of many times we look at this, and things may change, but as of June 26, 2026, this is what my schedule, this is how I predict the schedule turning out to be. Week 1. This is also under perfect conditions. Week 1 is against the Buccaneers. It's at home. I think it's a redemption mark. It's a statement mark you're going to put on the league saying that, everything we did in the offseason, everything we did to improve our defense is not just for show. It's for demonstration. You're going to see it on week 1. But when we take advantage of a vulnerable Buccaneers team who kind of looks a little bit lost in their future. The big question is can they roll that over to week 2? They're out in Houston, and I believe that their hype is all exhausted and exerted out there in week 2. They lose against the Texans. Week 3 will be at Heinz Stadium. The one thing that we are certain for is that Aaron Rodgers will be playing to his fullest potential, pending that he's healthy, along with the additions along with it, because the Pittsburgh wants to give this last final dream run with Rodgers and McCarthy a chance at the postseason. I think that the Bengals split home and away, and I think that the Bengals lose this one. They begin the season 1-2. They come back home, and maybe in a possible shootout, they do pull off a victory with the Jacksonville Jaguars. In the first month of football, they are 2-2 on the season. Week 5 is in Miami, and with a uncertain Miami that doesn't have a clear direction, they're still trying to establish themselves. This should be a nice, easy win. So heading into week 6 with the bye, they should be 3-2 on the season. Now, does that rest give them an opportunity to beat the Ravens on the road? Absolutely. And that's where I think that they're going to succeed at. They beat the Ravens on the road. They're fresh, they're healthy, they're ready to go. They're 4-2. Come back home to take on the Titans, and they beat the Titans at home in week 8. Heading out to Madrid, it's going to be a tough battle for both teams, but it's also going to be a shootout. I think whoever is the last man standing, whoever makes the least amount of mistakes, that's where I think the Bengals will pull away. So after the bye week, they pull away 3 consecutive victories, and they finish off they're now 6-2. Heading into week 10, they are home Sunday Night Football, primetime television against the Steelers. This is where I think they split and they win. They move to 7-2 before going to Washington and taking on the Commanders on the road on Monday Night Football. Now, I don't think that they're great on primetime television, so I don't think they pull away with the victory on this one. They lose and they move to 7-3. They do come back home and they beat the Saints and they become 8-2. So we know they're getting closer to a winning record. Move to week 13 where they head out to Cleveland. And this is where Joe Burrow struggles and he'll end up losing, making it 8-4. In week 14, they're home to the Chiefs. And yeah, the Bengals may have the upper hand on the Chiefs at the moment, but we're on the resurgence, hopefully. A lot to tell between then and now. Against the Chiefs, and I think this is going to be a coin flip because in week 15 they're in Carolina. So either you beat the Chiefs and you lose to the Panthers, or you lose to the Chiefs and you beat the Panthers, making it 9-5. Then they take on the Indianapolis Colts on the road, where I think they could pick up a victory, move into 10-5. Then they lose to the Ravens on Thursday Night Football, making it 10-6, beating the Browns in week 18 11-6. The only reason why they would lose is that the Ravens have knocked themselves out of the postseason and they are resting a lot of their starters. So that's kind of my brief run through of where I think the Cincinnati Bengals would be at. I do think that they have an easier schedule, less strenuous, despite going to Madrid this year, despite having 3 primetime games, and despite having an early bye in the season. And I say that because you're not going up against the Bills. You're not going up against the Chargers. You're not going up against the Patriots in this matter. You're not facing the Eagles. You're not facing the Rams for that factor. You're facing the AFC and the NFC South teams, which are vulnerable teams, and they're already divisions that aren't so great to begin with. On top of that, you're playing against easier AFC, NFC East teams. The Commanders aren't nothing really there to be focused about, as well as the Miami Dolphins. So and then you have what? The Chiefs, and that's pretty much it. So you have a few scuffles, but if we talk about a perfect scenario, nobody gets hurt, everything kind of falls in line like it's supposed to, at least like how we made this offseason supposed to make it, then it should be a reluctant 10-plus win game season, probably enough to win a division, if not to have a high range in the postseason. And, I can see the Bengals getting back there. The important thing is that we are back there. Can't deny that. But that is all the time I have for you guys today. We went over just a little bit, so I apologize. I hope everyone had a good week. Get ready for a weekend. We'll be back Monday from noon to 1. Be sure to like subscribe, have the notifications on, follow us on our social media. We're on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. And you can download this podcast if you missed anything this week. And listen to us at the TNC Sports Hub, wherever you get the podcasting needs at. Thank you so much for